Welcome, everyone. My name is Kelly Wayment, and I am here at Silhouette headquarters in Linden, Utah. And today we are going to make a fun Thanksgiving or holiday place setting. So we're going to talk about sketch pens, so sketching and cutting. This is done by sketching and not printing. So we're going to talk about sketch pens and how to find sketch fonts and sketch designs. And then we're also, because I love paper crafts, we're going to do a little bit of paper crafting, so coloring and shaping some leaves. And so you can use these techniques in for maybe your Thanksgiving place setting, or save it for Christmas or any holiday gathering. So I'm going to teach you the techniques, but you can use any designs you want. This design is the free design of the week, and I'm going to show you how to get that if you haven't already downloaded it from the Silhouette Design Store. This class is being recorded, and so you will have access to it in 24 to 48 hours after we're done here. And you can access that on michaels.com/classes. And the Silhouette classes, to watch those, you can just go to the technology section of the classes that are being shown. So let's go ahead and talk about the things that you need. So for this class, we're going to use, of course, we're using a Silhouette machine. I'm using the Silhouette Cameo, but you can absolutely do this on a portrait, and we're not doing anything fancy. So you can use older models of Silhouette machines. That's totally fine. We're going to use some cardstock, and these can be any colors you want, but I've got this kind of a gold shimmery cardstock, and it's the Michaels Recollections brand that you just get from the open stock paper, and it's a 65-pound cardstock. And then I've got a page of green, and this is from one of their 65-pound assorted paper packs, but you can also find this color of green in the 12 by 12 size of Michaels Recollections open stock paper. So those are the colors I'm using, but you can absolutely use other colors. We're going to be using some ink pads. So this is a set of Tim Holtz Distress inks, and I think this is the number, if you're looking for it, I linked it, I think. Anyway, just fall colors. This might be number 2 or number 12, I can't remember, but we're going to use the red today. And as an applicator, I've just got some makeup sponges. You can use any type of sponge or applicator, and we'll get to that later. We're going to use a spatula tool to do some of the paper shaping that we're going to do. And then we're going to talk about sketch pens. So this is a current model of the Silhouette sketch pen. We're going to use black because it looks good on the gold, but you can use any sketch pen color that you want. If you're using a Cameo 4 or a Portrait 3, you need to have this sketch pen that has the black body, and will need a blue sketch pen adapter. So I believe that this comes with, just comes with the Portrait 3 and the Cameo 4. And the Cameo 4 comes with some other adapters, but the blue one is for the sketch pens. And if you're using an older model, older than Cameo 4 or Portrait 3, you can use any sketch pen, any Silhouette sketch pen. For those of you who don't want to use a sketch pen but want to use your own pen, there is an adjustable pen holder. And so you can use like a gel pen or just a regular office pen or Sharpie marker, a skinny Sharpie, and use it in this sketch pen adapter. If you're using the Cameo 4 or Portrait 3, you need to make sure you have the one that's got this flat back. And then older models have a different sketch pen adapter that's completely round all the way around. We're also going to use, of course, a cutting mat and a cutting blade, and then we'll probably use a hot glue gun, but that's kind of optional, the hot glue gun. All right, so let's talk about finding a sketch design, finding a sketch font. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go into Silhouette Studio. And then go click on the Store tab. And that's going to open your browser. And if you just want to type it in to your browser, it's just silhouettedesignstore.com. Okay, so when you're in the design store, you can see these things that flash across. But what we're going to do to specifically look for sketch fonts is to just use the search function. And I just like to type sketch font and then hit enter. Oop, and I should spell it correctly. Sketch font, there we go. And hit enter, and it's going to look for what it thinks I want. So sketch fonts, and it does bring up a bunch of sketch fonts. To narrow that down a little further so it's not bringing in something else, I'm going to go over here on the left-hand side of my screen, and what I want to do is I want to filter by sketch, let's see, by fonts. So I'm going to uncheck everything except fonts. Okay, so now it's just looking for fonts, and since I use sketch font in my search term, that's still showing up here on the filters here on the left. This is a much better way to narrow down to fonts that are sketch fonts. Now you'll see some that have like this outline, and those, yeah, you can call them sketch fonts. But what we're really looking for when I say sketch font is these single line fonts. So there's this burger and fries, Christmas stocking sketch font. There's tons of them. You can see ones that I've already purchased myself. So there's French bread. So you can just scroll through and find the ones that you like, and then just add them to your cart and check out, and they will install into Silhouette Studio for you. The one I'm going to use today, if you want it, it's called Scotch Tape Sketch, and it is number 75223. And you can just type that into the search bar. And there it is. Scotch Tape Sketch font. Scotch Tape Sketch. Okay, and that's a really fun one. I use it pretty often. So if you want that one, go ahead and add it to your cart and check out. Another one that I found that I like is BFC Sugared Apple. So 418685. That's the number you can type in to find BFC Sugared Apple Sketch. That one's kind of fun. It's got these little serifs on it that a lot of sketch fonts don't have. So that one's really cute too. So those are totally optional. If you have any sketch font on your computer, that will work, and you don't have to buy another one today. Those are just some fun ones. Another thing you can do is look for sketch designs. So, say I'm looking for kind of a frame that's a sketch. So I'll type in frame up in the search bar. And then again, over here on the left, what I would do is uncheck everything except the one that says sketch. So there is a filter just for sketch designs, and you may get some things that are mislabeled or somebody called it sketch and it's not really, but so these are narrowed down to things that are like frames that are sketch designs. So there's some really fun options there. This one I thought about using for a place card. It would probably look fun with a name typed in there. So if you want this one, it is called Sketch Frame, and it is number 67180. So those are specifically made for sketch pens to use, that it's going to doodle on your page. It's going to draw on your paper with a pen instead of using like a printer. And the fun thing about sketch designs is that you can buy like glitter pens and all sorts of different colors of pens, and you can use it on any color of paper. And so you don't have to, because most printers don't print glitter And so glitter ink is fun to use with sketch pens. And then being able to use it on any color of paper that you might not be able to do, like a print and cut, is a fun option. That's why I would choose to do sketching instead of printing. All right, so let's go into Silhouette Studio. I'm using version 4.5.152. So if you're not using that version, yours might look just slightly different from mine. The first thing I always do when I open a design, when I'm ready to design, is to check my page setup panel. If it doesn't open automatically, it's just this top right icon in the stack of panels on the right hand side. And so I want to set my machine. I'm using the Cameo 4. And so if you want to change any of these, just click on the drop down and you can change those. So I've got mine set to Cameo 4. You might be using a portrait, so you can choose portrait. Feed type is going to be manual. Cutting mat, I am going to use the Cameo 12 by 12 inch cutting mat. That set that automatically for me, but I can also check that as 12 by 12. And then my media size, I am going to start out with a 12 inch by 12 inch. And of course, if you're using a portrait machine, it'll give you smaller options that you can use, and you can cut down your 12 by 12 paper if you need to. All right, so, I should mention in the design store, your free design for this week is what we're going to use. So if you have not already downloaded it, you can do that. It is number 421515. So this is free today and all this week up until next Monday night. So go ahead and click that and download it. And I've already downloaded it, but you can just add it to your cart and check out. You do have to have a Silhouette account to purchase designs from the design store, but that's an easy thing to do. Hopefully you do that if you've got a Silhouette machine. Okay, so we're going to use the Fall Holiday Leaf Nametag. All right, back in Silhouette Studio, we will go ahead and open our library, and that any designs that you download will go to your recent downloads folder. And then just find Fall Holiday Leaf Nametag and double click to open it. Okay, so now you've got all these leaves on the page. Notice it doesn't come with any sketch font because we're going to add that ourselves later. So we can move all these off to the side, off kind of to this holding area. And we're going to move this large maple leaf on first. And we can fit 4 to a 12 by 12 page. If you're using a portrait, you're only going to, or letter size paper, you can only fit 2. But for this 12 by 12, I can just select that, and I can fill the page really quickly by holding my Control, Shift, and letter F for fill. If you're using a Mac, it would be Command, Shift, F. And so that just fills the page really quickly. I can adjust these if I feel like they're too close to the edge. I can adjust them, and center to page, which is up on the top. I like to use this just to make sure nothing's going off the borders, or I can see it easily if it does. So we've got these 4 leaves on the page, and that's all we need to do with that design before adding our sketch font. So we need to add text. So go over here to the left. You've got your text tool, this big letter A. So click on that once. And then as you move back over to the page, you get a cursor. So as you click down on the page, you can see your cursor flashing. So you're ready to type something. So I'm going to go, why don't you guys tell me your names? I'm going to pick 4 names from the crowd. Let's see. So go ahead and type a name that you would like, or just say me. All right, Kim, Jean, Jennifer, and Candy. Those are the ones I see. So go back here. Let's see. Okay, so Kim, I'm going to type. Let's try that again. Text tool, click down. There we go. Type Kim. And then before I switch those other names, I'm going to go to change this line color and the font because it's easier to just copy and paste. So my line color, I'm going to change to black, and there's a reason that we're changing it to black. So just follow along. And up here on the upper left, you've got your fill colors at the very far left at the quick access toolbar, and then one in that looks like a red square. Those are your line colors. So we're going to pick a black line color, and then we need to choose a font. So way over here on the right, you can choose your text style panel. It's another letter A, but as you hover over it, it'll say text style panel. And sometimes that is a little bit slow opening the very first time. So if it doesn't look like it's opening, just click again a couple times. There we go. Okay, and then up here, I can start typing in the font that I know I want. And I'm going to do Scotch Tape Sketch font. There is a Scotch Tape font that's not a sketch font that I also have. So I'm going to scroll down one more and make sure I've got Scotch Tape Sketch, because it will look a little different and cut a little different. Okay, so now I've got that, and I want to make several copies. Let's see, I'm going to make that bigger first. So I'm going to click on it. If you ever click off to the side and then click once, then you've got options to resize this. Instead of changing the text that's in it, you can just change your size with dragging the corner handle like this. And that's probably pretty good. And then I need 3 more. So there's lots of ways to make copies. I'm going to hold my Alt key and click and drag. Every time I click and drag and then release, it makes another copy. So we're not going to make them all for Kim. We're going to double click on that one that you want to change. And now you've got your text editing back, and you can change these. So let's see, it was Kim Jean. Double click on the next one and highlight, change it, Jennifer. Double click on the next one and change that one to Candy. Okay, so now I've got my 4 names. I'm going to look at the biggest one and make sure it still fits, and it does. So if these are all going on the same table, which if you're making multiples, I'm assuming they're going to go on the same table. So I would say to keep the font size the same, just so they're consistent. So now I'm just dragging each of these names over to the top of each of the 4 leaves. And then I kind of want to, so I can center those vertically really quickly. Normally on a design, you can just click the 2 together and choose this option here, kind of in the middle of your quick access toolbar that says center. And that'll center it horizontally and vertically, but the leaf itself, its center is up here. And so what we want to do is just nudge this down. If you hold your shift key and your arrow key at the same time, it'll make big leaps. And if you are just using your arrow key, it'll make tiny little movements. Okay, so kind of get these centered where you want along the vertical point of the leaves. And then you can just choose your alignment tools on the quick access toolbar, or these 3 little rectangles bunched together. And we're just going to choose align center. So we're selecting the name and the leaf and go align center, because that won't make it look funny like the other centering did. Okay, does that make sense? Anybody totally lost? Okay, we're going to move on. If you wanted to do a different sketch font, you can absolutely do that. Anytime you want to change the font, you can either just select it once so it's highlighted, and you can choose any font. We're sticking with sketch fonts. You can also use, remember I said that fun sketch frame might be fun to use. I know I put it in my favorites folder. Let's see where it is. There we go, sketch frame. So if I were to use this, okay, I'm frozen up for a second. Hang on. Okay, drag this off to the side. So I would do the same thing if I were, if I wanted to make like some sort of doodle sketch design in these leaves and shrink the name down smaller. Here, I'll show you what that looks like. Alt, click and drag, and I'm going to change this font to that BFC sugared apple. Okay, close this, and then I would of course resize it smaller. And then I would also change my line color. Anything I'm going to sketch, I'm going to change my line color to black. And so this might be fun to put in inside a leaf as well. And I can make a copy of a leaf so you can see what that looks like too. So obviously I would shrink that down to fit. And we'll just hang on to that. I want to show you something a little bit later. That you might need to be aware of for some sketch fonts. But for now, let's just stick with these 4 that we're going to make name tags for. We'll go to the Send tab. And when I am sketching, I like to cut by line color. So cut, when I say cut, it could mean cut or sketch, whichever tool I've got in the machine. So in the Send panel, you've got some options across the top that you may or may not have used before. So by default, you go by simple and you just cut whatever's in red. We're going to go cut by line color. So click on this tab that says line, and now it knows to do something different, that I can do something different with each line on the page, with each line color on the page. So I'm going to, whatever is on top is going to happen first. So I'm going to click and drag this black square, my black line color, up to the top because I want to sketch first. I always want to do my cutting last. So if I do any sketching, I want to drag that to the top so the sketching happens first. And now we need to change our cut settings for each line. Okay, so the question is to review that. I am in the Send panel, and I'm going to cut by line color. So I want to make sure that this tab right here, let's see. Okay, I've zoomed in a little bit. So I'm in the Send tab, and right here I've got my line colors. So I've got a black line color and a red line color on the page. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor right now, but you can do something different with each of these lines. So you can change like the action on our black line color is actually going to be sketch. So with the Cameo 4 and the Portrait 3, it's got this auto tool detection, so it will change it for me, but I can force it. And this is what you would need to do if you're using an older machine. You want to change that action for the black line color to sketch. And it should change your tool to be a little sketch pen icon. Okay, so and what I also did is you can change the order that this is all going to happen. So whatever's on your top line is going to happen first. So my black line is for sketching. I want that to happen first. I want the red line underneath it. But just know that you can drag these around and change the position. Okay, so I want my black line color on top. Now, the next thing we want to do is make sure we've got our cut settings accurate. So sketching it with the sketch pen, and I can actually change my, for auto tool detection, I'm going to change my into a sketch pen right now. So I'm going to take out the blade. And for the sketch pen, there's a little tab that opens up and you can take off the cap of your sketch pen. What you're looking for is this little kind of shoulder that sticks out on the sketch pen, and you're going to rest it right in the groove that fits it. So you can see there's a little open groove that fits that collar of the sketch pen just perfectly. And so that's what you're lining up to make sure it doesn't move up or down at all. It locks it in place. And then just close that tab until you hear it click. So there's my sketch pen, and it is ready to sketch. So with the auto tool detection, that's going to tell the machine that I've got the sketch pen in there. I'll load that into my machine, the flat side towards the back, and then just make sure it locks in place. And so now my tool on my software should actually change for sketching. Okay, go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so you can see this one that's left at auto tool detection is has changed to sketch. And so we'll fix that when we get to the red line. Let's see, why did my line colors disappear? I don't know, those should be red. Anyway, what we're doing right now, that's fine. What we want to make sure is that only our sketch lines, our fonts, our words are going to sketch. So you're looking to make sure that this box is checked. This is basically on or off. It's either going to cut or it's not. That's what each of these boxes are. And so we don't want our outer lines to cut. So you don't want the red box checked for the red line color. You do want the black one checked. And so that's how we're going to sketch.
Someone's saying I can't get my colors to switch. What can I do?
Okay, if you're having trouble getting your colors to switch, it's actually not a big deal, especially if your mat is sticky. It'll hold everything in place. The reason I sketch first is in case I'm using a mat that's not very sticky. If I cut first and then I'm trying to do something with the cut piece, then there's a possibility of it moving out of place while it sketches. But you're just, make sure that you are clicking on the square itself, the colored square, and that's the one that you drag. Click on the square and just drag it. But like I said, if for some reason that's not working, you're probably okay as long as your mat is sticky. Yeah, that's probably the case, that those red lines aren't there because I've got my sketch tool in, although it should be showing red since it's a red line color. So yeah, but that is probably what's going on. All right, so yours should look like mine. Black line on top, checked, and then in your cut preview you can see that only the sketching is going to happen. Those are the ones that are in bold. You don't have any bold line colors around your leaf. And then the sketch, basically if you choose any paper, your sketch settings are the same. So it's going to go with 1 pass, force of 7, and speed of 5, and that works pretty good. Okay, so let's go and get this paper loaded. All right, so I'm just going to pull off my paper shield and save that for later. And then line up gold paper onto the cutting mat. Make sure if you're using letter size paper that you put it in the upper left corner of your mat so it matches your screen. That 12 by 12, we're covering the whole surface, so that's fine. Now we're going to load it into the mat and just make sure your mat is aligned with the loading guideline and press load. And we're about ready to sketch. I'm going to show you a little trick. If you need your mat to lay completely flat, sometimes with sketch pen, if you've got a little bow in your paper or in your mat, you'll get a little bit of sketch dragging lines, and we don't want that to happen. So I just take an empty 12-inch vinyl roll and I just stick it under my mat. Anywhere along there is fine, but you can see how that holds that mat much more horizontally. And so that should, it's just kind of a nice extra thing to get your sketch pens to go where they should. All right, so I'm not going to share my screen. I'm just going to click send. Hopefully, if you've ever cut before, you know where the send button is. So this is going to sketch those, everything that was in bold, because we had the black line color checked. You can see that tube just kind of hangs out there when it's not touching it, and then it'll just rest against it and just roll freely as it comes out again. So this is kind of an iridescent paper, and the sketch pens from Silhouette work really well on this paper. It doesn't have any trouble with smearing or anything. Okay, we're done sketching. Do not remove the mat. Leave the mat exactly where it is, but we are going to switch to the blade. So sketching's done, so we pull that out and just set it aside, and we can put the blade back in. Now, if you're using a manual blade, of course, you'll change to the setting you need, like on a 3. For most cardstock, 3 or 4. I'm using the auto blade, and so I'll share my screen again. Okay, so now we can see with this, the action over here in the upper right, that has changed on the red line color to cut because it's got the auto detection on. So now I want to turn off the black sketch lines, and I want to turn on the red cut lines. Now they're back to red because I've got the blade in. And I want to make sure that my paper is set to the right cut settings. So this is 65-pound Michael's Recollections paper. And I have found that the setting for pattern paper, medium, 65-pound is a good option for that. You can either change that right here on the line with the drop-down box. You can pick something else, or you can change it down here where you can see the fine details of your cut settings. So you could change your setting there too. If you just type in search, you can find pattern paper, medium, 65-pound. Okay, question?
For a question, could you have put the sketch pen in slot 1 and cutting blade in slot 2?
So the question is, could you have put the sketch pen in slot 1 and the cutting blade in slot 2, in carriage 2? The answer is yes, only if you have a Cameo 3. If you have any other machine, you have to do it this way where you're swapping out the tools, because the Cameo 4 has separate functions for each blade carriage, for each tool carriage. And so you can only sketch and use a regular blade in the left-hand tool holder, tool 1. So hopefully that answers that. I did it this way because it fits the most machines where you're just turning one off and turning the other one on. Okay, so back to our settings, pattern paper. If your blade is sharp, you can probably use the blade on 3, and I think my blade's sharp, so I'm gonna stick with a 3. If you have any trouble cutting all the way through, you might wanna bump your blade up to a 4, but force on 30 is good and speed on 5 is good. Yeah, so everything's in place. I'm going to click send, and that's going to this time use those red bold cut lines to know what it's doing with the tool. Can you have both selected on and do both functions simultaneously, cutting and sketching? Not with a Cameo 4. You can only do that with a Cameo 3, where you have one tool doing each, because it would just immediately move into, it'll do one line and then it'll do the next line. And with your auto tool detection also, it's not going to let you have 2 different tools. Yeah. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay, so I've double checked my paper and it did cut through. So that's good. We'll unload it. And then we'll move on to cutting the leaves. I'm just gonna flip this over and pull these off. I guess these are leaves too. We'll cut the green vine leaves. Okay, so we'll set these aside. Okay, and then we'll get the green paper. I'm going to go ahead and load the green paper right now, so it's all ready to go as soon as I get my software set up. So I'll just go ahead and load that. Okay, so back to the software. Okay, we want to go back to the design page, and let's go over here. We can move all these off, or we can make a new document. Let's just go ahead and move these off because we're done with them. Nothing will happen to those things over on the side holding area. I did want to show one thing. Let me do it really quick. Drag this onto the page. If you get, I noticed this while I was working with the sketch designs. It's not doing it. Let's see, maybe in the simple tab. There we go. So I was in the simple tab, and some of my sketch fonts were not completely showing the full path that it should be drawing. There were these gaps in there, and I've reported it as a bug. I just wanted to let you guys know, if you have that happening for a sketch font, all you need to do is change it from its default of cut edge and click it click cut over here instead of cut edge, and that resolves the problem, and it will sketch that full path for you. So I just wanted to point that out in case you run into that. All right, so let's get our page set up different. We're still using the same machine and mat, but the media size now is going to be letter for the paper that I'm using in particular. And so now I just need to bring these guys over here. I'm only going to cut 6, but you can actually fit 12 on a letter size page, just so you know. In the interest of time, I'm going to just cut the 6. So here we are back in the send panel, and I'm still using the same weight of paper. And so I'm going to leave it at this pattern paper medium. My blade is 3, my force is 30, and my speed is 5. And then I'm just going to click send. I should mention, because I mentioned that you could buy this green paper in a 12 by 12 inch version at Michael's. And the 12 by 12 version they sell is actually an 80-pound paper instead of 65-pound. And so for 80-pound paper, I usually move my blade depth up to more like a 5 or a 6, depending on how sharp my blade is. So just be aware of that. Do a test cut. I'm not going to spend the time on a test cut today, just because I want to make sure we have enough time. But you can do practice cuts and test cuts just to make sure that your blade settings are going to work. So the configuration of the designs on the page, or the page, the settings, cut settings. Yep, that's right, Jen. For this, with a sharp blade, I've used a blade depth of 3, a force of 30, a speed of 5, and a pass of 1. That's what I use. Those are my common settings for 65-pound Michael's Recollections paper. And I will just check and make sure those cut all the way through. They did, so I'm going to unload that. And we'll get these off of there. I always like to flip my mat over. Sometimes, depending on the design, if it's intricate, it's easier to carefully pull them off with the mat the other way. Okay, so if it doesn't cut through, hopefully you have not unloaded the mat yet. So what I'll do is I'll cut a design, and then I'll just check before I unload the mat. I'll just check to see if it's cut all the way through. And if it didn't, you just leave the mat where it is and you click send again. And so it'll cut exactly the same. It'll just cut on top of the lines it cut before. And so it'll just give it a second pass, basically. And if you have not unloaded the mat, that's the best thing to do. If you've unloaded the mat, then really you just need to cut some more or use an X-Acto knife, and use that as your knowledge for the next time that you are setting your cut settings. If it didn't cut through enough, you either need to increase your force a little bit. If it's really close, sometimes you can just increase your force from, I don't know, maybe a 25 to a 30 or a 30 to a 33. A lot of times, if it's cardstock, if it says it's blade 3, I would bump the blade up to a 4. Another thing you can do is just add a pass, but that also adds time. And you can increase, or you can turn on line segment overcut if it's only missing like the corners. So those are all different options, and it kind of just takes practice and experience, what works best for you to finish off your perfect cut. But the best thing to do is not unload your mat before you check to see if it cut all the way through, and just send it for another pass if it didn't. Okay. Hopefully we'll have some time and I'll show you how you can use the regular or the adjustable sketch pen holder. But let's move on for now to the design, because I want, or the project itself, because I want to make sure we have enough time. All right, so this one looks good. Okay, so I'm just going to take one of these leaves, move some things out of the way here. Okay, so I color my paper. I add any color to my paper before I shape it. So you could add either, probably either the red or the green, whatever you're kind of going for. Maybe a brown, just depends on what color you've got. An orange would be fine too if you're looking for fall colors. I'm going to go ahead and use the red on all of these. So I've just got a makeup sponge, just from a dollar store, or some box store that you can just get a bunch of bulk makeup sponges. I like it because it's got a really fine grain to the sponge, and so it's nice and smooth. So I just dab it onto the ink pad, and it transfers the ink onto my sponge. And then I'm just going to go along the edge and just kind of swipe along the edge. Now, if you're really nervous about doing this, you can actually take some of your practice, your throwaway pieces, and just practice on the edges of your scrap paper first, before you commit to doing it to your real leaf or your finished leaf. I guess these aren't real, they're paper. But you're just going to swipe that quickly along all of the outer edges. And as you get into the corners there, maybe you want to switch to the skinnier side of your makeup sponge, but there's kind of some corners on the sponge too that help you get into those corners. The little insets on the leaf. And by the time you get all the way around, it's going to look pretty good. So, you could really even use a purple on this. Just be consistent. I would do the same color on all of your leaves that are going on the same table. But of course, that's personal preference. And if you get little extra swipe marks, you're not really going to notice overall. So if you don't have perfect uniformity, don't worry about it. It's the overall look is going to look nice. So we're just finishing that all the way around. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing to these little vine leaves. And it's a little bit, they're skinny, so a little bit, you need a little bit of patience there, but it's a fun look. You do not have to shade these. I like to shade my paper crafts. Just everything I can do to add one more layer of depth and dimension and texture just adds to the overall look. So we're just doing all of the edges as before. And you're probably going to get ink on your fingers, so just be aware of that. I always have inky fingers when I've been doing a project like this. Okay, any questions on any of the techniques or anything else we've covered?
pan pastels be used for shading?
Question is, can pan pastels be used for shading? And the answer is definitely yes. I like pan pastels a lot. I switch back and forth between ink pads and pan pastels. You can try watercolors. You can try kind of watered down acrylic paint with a paintbrush. There's all sorts of ways you can add color, and it's fun to experiment. So yeah, pan pastels are definitely an option on paper flowers and leaves. Okay, so there is a leaf that has been colored, and you can see it's not absolutely perfect. There's little swipes there, but when you're looking at the whole thing, especially after we shape it, you're just not going to notice any little tiny flaws. So it's kind of a rough and casual way to do it. All right, so let me show you how I shape these. I've got, you would of course do this with all of your leaves. When I am shaping these vine leaves, I will take my silhouette spatula tool, and you can either kind of roll it along your the end of your scraper tool, spatula tool, or you can kind of drag it like you would do curling ribbon against scissors. Just drag your thumb across and give it a little curl. You have to be careful. Hold it pretty good where it connects, because if you tear this and you're holding down here and you pull really hard, you're going to tear those petals off. So hold it where it would be a delicate point that still gives you security, and just kind of curl along there. So it's a very subtle difference between the look you get curling with, depending on which end you use. And then you can kind of, with your fingers, give it a little bit of shape. And then I would probably also just give a little crease and lift those curled tips up, or lift them at the crease where they meet the stem. So kind of do that with all 6 of your vine pieces. And then for your, let's see, you might want to use, you can use your fingers, but you might want to also use a scraper tool. So I like the spatula tool for the tiny things, and I will often use my scraper tool to give curl to bigger pieces. Just kind of, again, roll it with your thumb, but you can absolutely just do this with your fingers. You can give it a little curl, just dragging with your fingers and thumb. It's a little faster with the scraper tool. You can see that that's not really smearing, and the ink, even if it was wet earlier, it's certainly dry now. So I'm just doing a little bit of curling, give everything just some dimension and texture. It just looks much prettier than a flat piece. And then I want to give it kind of a crease in the middle to lift those up along where a vein line might be. So I'm just pressing with my fingers, kind of like I'm folding it in half, but I'm not doing a hard crease. I'm just putting my fingers, oh, it's a little awkward. There we go. Putting my thumb between my 2 fingers, give that little pressure there. So not a super heavy crease, but a little bit of a crease. And so when you're done, you've got, you can dress this up more. I kept this simple just because simple is really my style for decorating and for Thanksgiving. So you can just shape that and flatten it the way you need to. And then you've got these leaves. So I'm basically just putting one at the center and one at the top of each side and one at the back of each side. And you can either leave them there. I would say that it's probably going to be better if we glue these in place. So do we have any more questions? Does anybody want to see like how I use the adjustable pen holder?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay.
Yeah, I should do that.
Okay, so what I would do is I would just add a little dab of glue, of hot glue, and just glue those in place. So if they get bumped on your table setting, nothing's going to happen. All right, let's talk about, with the little bit of time we have left, the adjustable pen holder. So the pen holder has a little collar that comes with 3 different colors of collars. So this is the medium one. There's also a blue one and a gray one. I think I use the medium one the most, that's white. And so basically what you're going to do is, I like you can use gel pens, definitely. I can't remember which collar fits the best for gel pens, but for an ultra fine point Sharpie, I like this white one. You're going to take your lid off and you're going to, there's also a cap on your pen holder, just this little white cap, and don't lose that because you need it. You're going to put your marker in so it comes up, and basically what you're going to do is you want the tip of your marker or pen to hit flush with that cap. You don't want it to extend further than where that cap is, because it will drag on your paper. It'll be too far down, too much exposed. Okay, so I will actually hold my cap and my marker or my pen, and I'll just kind of eyeball it as far as I extend the cap. And as long as you're pretty close, it doesn't have to be to that, to the millimeter or fraction of a millimeter. And then you're going to twist that collar until it is holding your pen tight. So I'm dragging in and out and the pen is not sliding. So that's your goal, is to twist that tight enough so your pen doesn't move. And then when it goes into your machine, it's basically in the same position that your sketch pen would be. The depth of it when it's down there, it gets it to the right position by using that cap to adjust it. And so I like a Sharpie marker. The only thing with the Sharpie marker is that the very last point of your sketch is going to hold it down just a little bit. So like a glossy paper that won't bleed is better if you're using a felt tip marker, but gel pens and ballpoint pens are totally fine to use without any risk of bleeding on that very last point. So I hope that explained enough. Do we have any other questions that I can answer before we go?
What's the adapter for the Sharpie pen?
Okay, so this is called the adjustable pen holder, and I think Michael's might have it. You can definitely find it on silhouetteamerica.com and just type in adjustable pen holder. And it will come with 3 different sizes of collars. Make sure you're getting the one for the right machine, because only the Portrait 3 and the Cameo 4 and Cameo 4 Plus and Cameo 4 Pro use this flat-sided one. If you have an old machine, you need to get the one that's a round one. And so just look for that in the description. But if it's not on michaels.com or in their stores, you can find it on silhouetteamerica.com and just type in the search adjustable pen holder. So that makes sketching a lot more versatile to be able to use that with not just the sketch pens. Okay, so this class, it should have been posted in the chat, the instructions about that, but you can go to michaels.com/classes. And you can see, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see past classes. You can also go to Michael's YouTube channel and just do under their channel search, type Michael's Community Classroom Silhouette. We will also post this to watch on the Silhouette 101 blog. I'll post it on my website, which is findingtimetocreate.com. So you should be able to find it pretty easily. And yeah, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you learned about sketch pens and why they're fun to use and that they're not scary, and a little bit of paper crafting. And I hope you have a good holiday season.